Hi everyone, my name is Chris Martin. Welcome to Keto with me. It is day 13 on my journey back into keto. New to my channel, check out my day 0 video where I cover the ins and outs of why I created this video series. Let's check out my daily clip. All right, we just watched the day 13 clip. As you can see, there was a couple of interesting things in there, at least one interesting thing. So let's go through the numbers real quick first. My carbs, I only had 13 carbs for yesterday, which was pretty good. My blood glucose was actually 87, so I'm just like tickled pink, you know, just like, woo, man, that's so exciting. I can't tell you, you know, so that's hopefully going to be a trend. And then my ketones were 1.7, also a very fantastic number, especially after, you know, having a weight gain, you know, yesterday, you know, 0.4, and we talked about that. So we'll mention that one more time here in a few minutes, or we'll talk about it a little here in a moment or two. So my weight is 221. I went down. I remember yesterday I was up 222 because I gained 0.4 of a pound. Now I went back past that to, you know, 221. So my overall weight loss is 13.4, which is, you know, pretty good. 13 days, 13.4. You know, am I going to be able to continue this? I doubt I'm going to be able to get a pound a day, but you know, one can only hope. So very, very exciting. My macro percentages, you know, 75 for fat, 4 for carbs, 21 for protein. That's pretty spot on for, you know, trying to target, you know, target my ratios and so forth. What was interesting about yesterday is that, well, I think I mentioned the day before that I hadn't had, and I don't, this is really weird talking about this type of stuff on here, but I didn't have a bowel movement. We were talking about different things like sweeteners and stuff, you know, that could cause, you know, you not to lose and all this other stuff. No sooner than like an hour afterwards, I probably had 2 consecutive ones right in a row, you know, which kind of was like, oh, okay, cool. You know, this is, you know, I'm starting to feel better, you know, and, you know, hopefully things were looking up. And that, you know, as the day progressed, you know, it got to, actually, what happened is that I was so busy yesterday, I ended up doing an accidental fast. So I did not eat until like 3:30 yesterday afternoon. And usually when you find yourself like accidentally, you know, going past the, you know, normal eating time and stuff like that on keto, it's usually a good indicator that you're probably starting to get ready for a fast. So that was, you know, that was good. It mainly had to do with just because I was too busy at work. I didn't really have an opportunity to. But I can tell you what, the old Chris would have started to turn into anti-Chris, and I would have been like, I gotta eat something. So I would have, you know, the old me would have, you know, went and just grabbed something quick, like, you know, something out of the cupboard, something, you know, order something or something like that just for convenience. And you know, surprisingly, it didn't get to that point. Now, when I got to that late in the afternoon, I was, you know, pretty tanked. But the accidental fast, you know, I think is one of the reasons why you see, better ketone numbers and also blood glucose. I also only ended up doing MCT one time yesterday too. You'll see that like in one of the pictures I said. A lot of times what happens is I get my food ready, I put it on a plate because my wife wants it to look pretty for you guys. And then I take a picture of it, and then I go sit down, and then when I go to eat it, like if I don't do the MCT, like if I forget, in this case I just forgot. So later on I realized that. By the time I realized that it was too late, and I didn't want to take MCT like at 7 o'clock at night, and I was kind of worried about being spiked with energy and going to bed, a little while later. So. Also, what I've noticed too is that I'm putting more food. I'm still putting kind of the food I used to eat, the quantity, and now I'm not eating as less. So yesterday I kind of put like 2.5 of these sweet Italian sausages that I get from Costco, which not really sweet, but that's what they call them. And I only ended up eating 2 instead of 2.5. So when so that's another thing that tells me I'm getting ready for fasting, because my amounts are coming down. I can go longer without eating. So I think that's really good. So one more thing before we talk about my goals, specifically related to my blood glucose and my ketones. So there's a GKI, oh geez, I can't think of the name of it. It's like a glucose ketone indexer, I think is what it is, that relates to those two numbers, that helps you know whether or not you're headed into, I think they call it metabolic sorry, ketosis, I believe is what most people refer to it as far as there. But Dr. Boz, she has her own kind of flavor of it, which we'll talk about at some point too, and it's called the Dr. Boz ratio. Both these numbers give you a good idea, when they're used together, to figure out am I losing, right? You can be in ketosis and and sometimes you just don't lose. Well, you need to be in a certain level of it, so she calls it nutritional ketosis, I believe, and there's a lot of people call it nutritional ketosis, but the higher the ketones go and the lower that your blood glucose, the better opportunity for you to start to experience things like autophagy, which will be a future topic, stronger nutritional ketosis and weight loss and things like that. So all very exciting. I just want to mention that because my numbers were looking really good, so I'm pretty excited about that. That's it for recapping my daily clip. Let's talk about my goals. Let's see where I'm at with my week 2 goals and my pit of success. So looking at my sleep here, I got 7 hours sleep last night and only up once. So it was a pretty good solid sleep too. So I moved that up to the good category compared to yesterday. Moving on to eating keto, not fasting yet, but we're going to be talking about that in today's video recommendation, because starting week 3, we're looking at getting into some fasting here, to make some greater strides and move some things. And my body, I think, is ready for it now. So style, still eating dirty, clean. I keep strive, get clean. As far as eating, trying to pick the whole foods as best as I can and things like that. That becomes easier the longer you do it, especially if you get into fasting, your meals become smaller, so it becomes possibly a little cheaper for you. That's what I find with me, and that I'm able to, invest more into that 1, or 2 meals a day than say spreading it across 3 and snacks and, all the other crap that you might have eaten, on the standard American diet. All right, moving on to the macros. As I mentioned that, I had 13 carbs, so I was really low for today, which is fantastic. And then for the macros, I was at 75% for the fat, 4 for the, carbs, and then, 16, I believe, 21 for the protein. So looking spot on for that. So that's 2 categories in a row there that I'm in, beast mode. So that means, I'm really hitting it. Learning videos, I continue to watch a video every day. Earlier in the week, I kind of got an extra 1 or 2, so that was really good. So beast mode there. So as far as tracking, just like before, tracking everything in chronometer, makes it certainly a lot easier when I go to like review it and then put in the numbers, so it's more accurate for you guys, and so forth. For meditation and relaxation, you'll see that there's actually a 20-minute that I got in yesterday, as well as a 5-minute in the afternoon. So it was great having that 20-minute, because I actually felt super rested afterwards. So that was really, really good. Exercise, not there yet. Like I said, maybe coming soon. Maybe not like a formal exercise, but just more, maybe start out doing walks or something like that. Well, that's it for my goals, folks. Let's take a look at my daily video recommendation. Today's video recommendation is about fasting. I've been hinting at, moving towards fasting, especially with yesterday's accidental fast. I'm definitely ready for it. You could be ready at this point too. Just remember, if you're on this journey, your timeline could be, extended in all these areas. You don't have to necessarily, be to fasting already. My progress just shows you what's possible to do, following what, obviously is working for me, and making adjustments along the way. So again, I'm ready for fasting. So the video I picked is actually by Jason Fung. He's a doctor that, I think he's like a kidney specialist or something like that. But anyway, if you Google fasting, this guy's name is the one that pops up like over and over and over and over again. He's really well known for fasting. It's a 9-minute and 37-second video. It's called the Beginning Guide to Fasting. It's perfect to get your mind wrapped around like what fasting is. I think some of us have done fasting accidentally or not in time at one point or another. He clearly defines what fasting is. He makes it very clear that it's not starvation, and that it's 100% voluntary, and that you are always in control of your own fast. So it's like I said, very informative. He talks about who should fast and who should not fast. He talks about when you should fast, and then he even kind of slips some like little extra information in there, like the world record of fasting, which I think you're going to be blown away when you see the number of days somebody actually fasted. It's much higher than I would have probably ever imagined. He also covers the reasons for fasting, what it can do for the, a short discussion on the body. He has more in-depth videos on it, but this is like, a quick beginner's guide. He talks about the types of fast. This is a really good point right here, because, like for example, the types of fast, like, the one everybody knows is your classic fast, which is water only. But he mentions that there's lots of different types of fast out there, and you can define, what your fast is, what works for you and so forth. So when we'll talk about this on day, more specifically on day 15, but, my fast is going to be, I'm going to include black coffee. I'm going to start out with my normal coffee regimen. I'm going to leave out the MCT for now, and I'm just going to fast, and then, slowly increment the time period. So, which is the next point, in there is about the durations of fast, whether you do like what's it called, a 16/8, and I can't remember the name he called, whatever he called it. But then you have your once a day fast, which is 1 meal a day, which is often referred to as OMAD, which is what I used to do a lot of on my first journey. And then he talks about multiple day, quickly. He doesn't, it's like, again, it's a beginning video, so he goes over, the basics and so forth. So it's a great video just to get us kind of ready for where we're going. I definitely recommend watching it, especially if you're going to look into doing any kind of fasting. And again, you're 100% in control, so you can define it. That's what's going to be for me. I'm going to define it. I may get to the 15th and be like, I'll go ahead and keep the MCT in or something like that. So I know I'm going to be somewhere like that. especially after having this accidental fast. All right, that's it for my video recommendation. Hopefully you'll check it out. That's it for day 13, folks. Thanks for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe to Keto with me. If you got any comments or questions, please leave them down below. Also remember, I'm not perfect. Please be a coach, not a critic, and take care.